In Timbuktu's shadows, Lamine finds a burned journal hiding Mansa Musa's darkest secret of truth that cursed the king. Chased by amber-eyed killers, he and Awa race to uncover it before it destroys them. Will they break the curse, or burn with the truth? The journal's calling, dare you listen.
Chapter 1. Ashes of Secrets. In Timbuktu's dust the sun hung low over Timbuktu, painting the sky a fierce orange, as if the heavens themselves were burning. Dust swirled through the narrow streets, carried by a dry wind that whispered through the mud-brick houses like a secret too heavy to keep. In the heart of the city stood the great library of Timbuktu, its walls baked hard by centuries of sun, holding manuscripts that told the story of the Mali Empire, a kingdom of gold, wisdom, and the legendary Mansa Musa, the richest man who ever lived. Inside, the air was cool and thick with the scent of old paper, leather, and time. Lamine, a young scholar with sharp eyes and a restless heart, pushed open the library's heavy wooden door, his sandals slapping softly against the stone floor. Lamine was no stranger to the library. At 20, he'd spent years among its shelves, decoding ancient Arabic scripts and tracing the curling lines of griot tales. He loved the stories of Mansa Musa, his caravan of gold stretched across the Sahara, how his gifts in Cairo crashed markets, how he made Timbuktu a beacon of learning. But today, Lamine wasn't here for stories. Old man Sekou, the head librarian, had called him to the back room, his voice trembling with urgency. "There's something you need to see, Lamine," he'd said, his eyes darting like he feared. The walls were listening, something hidden too long. Lamine's heart beat faster as he moved past rows of manuscripts, their pages yellowed but alive with wisdom. The back room was a place few entered, a cramped, dim space where forgotten scrolls and broken relics gathered dust. Sekou stood by a wooden table, his white beard glowing faintly in the light of a single clay lamp. On the table lay a small, charred box, its edges blackened as if kissed by fire. Sekou's hands shook as he gestured to it. "Open it," he whispered. "But be careful, it's not what it seems." Lamine frowned, his fingers brushing the box's rough surface. It was heavier than it looked, cold, despite the room's warmth. The lid was carved with faint spirals, almost invisible under the burn marks. He pried it open, and a puff of ash made him cough. Inside was a journal, its leather cover scorched, its pages curled and brittle. The smell of smoke clung to it, sharp and bitter, like a warning. Lamine lifted it carefully, his heart thudding. "What is this?" he asked, his voice low. Sekou's eyes flicked to the door, then back to Lamine. "It's his," he said. "Mansa Musa's, found in a trader's chest, buried under the library's oldest stones. No one's touched it in centuries. Until now." Lamine's breath caught. Mansa Musa's journal. The idea sent a shiver down his spine. He opened it, the pages crackling like dry leaves. The script was old Arabic, faint and smudged, but he could make out fragments. "I hid it, beneath the heart. The truth must not." The words stopped, burned away, leaving only ash and mystery. At the bottom of the first page, a single line stood clear. "The light burns the soul. Only the sworn may know." Lamine's hands shook. A secret Mansa Musa hid, the richest king, who gave gold like water, hiding something so dangerous it was burned from his own journal. He turned the page, and a crude drawing stared back, a spiral with an eye at its center, surrounded by stars that seemed to pulse in the lamplight. His skin prickled. The drawing wasn't just ink. It glowed faintly, a sickly green that made his stomach twist. "Sekou," Lamine said, his voice barely a whisper. "What does this mean? What did he hide?" The old librarian stepped closer, his face pale. "I don't know," he said, "but the griots whisper of a truth. Mansa Musa feared a light he found in the desert, something that changed him. He wrote it in that journal, then burned it to keep it from the world. If you've found it, Lamine, you're in danger." A sharp creak echoed from the library's main hall, like a door opening slowly. Lamine froze, his heart leaping to his throat. The library was supposed to be empty. Sekou had locked the doors himself. "Who's there?" Lamine called, his voice louder than he meant. Silence answered, heavy and wrong. Sekou grabbed his arm, his grip tight. "Hide the journal," he hissed. "Now." Lamine shoved the journal into his satchel, his hands clumsy with fear. The charred box stayed on. The table, its spirals seeming to glow brighter. Another sound came, a soft scrape, like a sandal on stone. Closer now. Lamine's eyes darted to the back room's door. a narrow slab of wood, half hidden by shelves. "We need to go," he whispered, pulling Sekou toward it. But Sekou shook, his head, his eyes wide with something like dread. "I'll stay," he said. "You run, Lamine. Take the journal. Don't let them find it." "Them?" Lamine asked, his voice shaking. "Who's them?" Sekou didn't answer. He pushed Lamine toward the door, his hands trembling. "Go through the alley. Don't look back." Lamine's heart pounded as he slipped through the door into a dark alley behind the library. The night air was warm, thick with the smell of dust and jasmine, but it did nothing to calm him. The journal in his satchel felt like a stone, heavy with secrets he didn't understand. He glanced back, seeing Sekou's silhouette in the doorway, the lamp's light flickering. Then a shadow moved in the alley, a tall figure, cloaked in black, its face hidden. Its eyes glowed amber, sharp and unnatural, like a predator's. In the dark, Lamine's breath stopped. He turned and ran, his sandals slipping on the uneven stones. The alley twisted through Timbuktu's maze of houses, the moonlight barely lighting his path. Behind him, the figure's footsteps echoed, steady and fast, like a hunter who knew its prey. Lamine's mind raced, the journal's words burning in his thoughts. The light burns the soul. What had Mansa Musa found? And why was it worth chasing him through the night? He ducked behind a stack of clay pots, his chest heaving. The footsteps slowed, then stopped. A low voice cut through the silence, cold as a blade. "Give us the journal, scholar," it said, "or Timbuktu burns with you." Lamine's blood ran cold. He peeked around the pots, seeing the cloaked figure standing in the alley, its amber eyes glinting. It held a curved knife, its edge catching the moonlight. But it wasn't alone. Another shadow moved behind it, smaller, with the same glowing eyes. Lamine's heart sank. Two of them, maybe more. He clutched the journal tighter, its burned pages crinkling in his satchel. He couldn't go back to the library, couldn't risk Sekou. He needed help, someone who knew Timbuktu's secrets. His mind flashed to Awa, a market trader who'd grown up with him. Her sharp wit and quick feet always getting them out of trouble. She knew every corner of the city, every hidden path. If anyone could help him escape, it was her. Lamine slipped through a gap in the pots, his heart pounding as he ran toward the market, the amber-eyed figure's footsteps echoing behind him. The market was quiet at this hour, its stalls empty, the air heavy with the scent of spices and leather. Lamine wove through the shadows, his eyes scanning for a war stall. He found it near the camel pens, a small tent with colorful cloth flapping in the wind. "Awa," he whispered, ducking inside. She was there, counting coins by a small lamp, her dark eyes snapping up at his voice. "Lamine," she said, standing, "you look like you've seen a ghost. What's wrong?" He pulled the journal from his satchel, its burned cover glinting in the lamplight. "This," he said, his voice shaking. "It's Mansa Musa. It's got something in it, something dangerous. People are after me." Awa's eyes widened as she took the journal, flipping through its charred pages. "This is old," she said, her voice low. "And that glow, it's not normal." She stopped at the spiral drawing, her finger tracing the eye at its center. "My grandmother told stories about this, a secret Mansa Musa hid, something he feared. She said it was tied to the desert, to a place no one goes." Before Lamine could ask more, a shadow moved outside the tent. The lamp flickered, and Awa grabbed his arm, pulling him behind a stack of baskets. "Quiet," she hissed. The amber-eyed figure stepped into the tent, its knife gleaming. It didn't speak, but its eyes scanned the shadows, glowing like fire in the dark. Lamine's heart stopped. He clutched the journal, his mind racing. The figure moved closer, its blade brushing the baskets. Awa's hand tightened on his, her breath silent but fast. Then, from outside, a loud crash echoed, a cart tipping over, wood splintering. The figure spun, its cloak swirling, and ran toward the sound. "Now," Awa whispered, pulling Lamine out the back of the tent. They sped through the market, dodging stalls and leaping over crates. The journal bounced in Lamine's satchel, its glow seeping through the cloth. They reached a narrow alley near the Sanka Mosque, its mud-brick towers looming in the moonlight. Awa stopped, her chest heaving. "We can't keep running," she said. "Those things, they're not normal. We need to know what's in that journal." Lamine nodded, his throat tight. He opened the journal again, the spiral drawing glowing brighter now, its eyes seeming to stare at him. "It's a map," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "or a code. It's pointing somewhere, maybe a place in the desert." Awa's eyes narrowed. Then we find it, she said. But we need help. Someone who knows the old stories. There's a Griout, old man Diallo, who lives by the river. He knows things no one else does. Lamine hesitated, Seku's warning ringing in his ears. You're in danger. But the journal's secret was too big to ignore. Mansa Musa had hidden something worth burning his own words to keep safe. And now, Lamine was caught, in its shadow, hunted by figures with eyes like fire. He looked at Awa, her face fierce and determined. Let's go, he said, his voice steadier now. But we move fast. As they slipped into the night, the wind carried a faint whisper, like the journal itself was speaking. Lamine's skin prickled. The alley was empty, but he felt those amber eyes watching, waiting. The burned journal was his only clue, but it was also a curse, and Timbuktu's dust held secrets that might bury him before he found the truth. Chapter 2. The shadow that follows the flame. Lamine's heart pounded as he and Awa slipped through the dark alley beside the Sanka Mosque, the burned journal in his satchel bouncing against his hip. The moonlight barely touched the narrow path, casting long shadows that twisted like fingers reaching for them. The amber-eyed figure's cold words, "Give us the journal, scholar, or Timbuktu burns with you," echoed in his mind, sharper than the curved knives they'd wielded. The journal, its charred pages glowing with Mansa Musa's secrets, felt like a curse now, not a discovery. Lamine glanced at Awa, her face fierce despite the fear in her eyes. "We're close to the river," she whispered, her voice low. "Dial camp is there. He'll know what this journal means." Lamine nodded, his throat tight. Old man Diallo was a Griout, a keeper of Molly's stories, whose songs carried truths older than Timbuktu itself. If anyone could decipher the journal's cryptic words, the light burns the soul. Only the sworn may know it was him. But the memory of Seku, the librarian, standing alone in the library's back room, made Lamine's stomach twist. He'd left Seku to face those figures, and now he didn't know if the old man was alive. The journal's spiral drawing, with its glowing eye, burned in his thoughts, promising answers or doom. The alley opened to a wider street, the Niger River's faint shimmer visible ahead. The air grew cooler, heavy with the smell of mud and reeds. Awa led the way, her steps quick and silent, her knowledge of Timbuktu's hidden paths guiding them past sleeping houses. "Stay low," she whispered, crouching behind a stack of firewood. "Those things there fast." Lamine's skin prickled. He peeked around the wood, scanning the street. It was empty, but the silence felt wrong, like the city was holding its breath. He clutched the journal tighter, its faint green glow seeping through his satchel. "What are they?" he asked, his voice barely audible. "Those figures there." Awa's jaw tightened. "I don't know," she said, "but my grandmother used to scare me with stories of shadows with fire in their eyes, guarding secrets from the old kings. I thought they were just tales. Now I'm not so sure." A soft scrape echoed behind them, like a sandal on stone. Lamine's heart leaped to his throat. He spun, but the street was still empty. Awa grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the riverbank. "Move," she hissed. They ran, their sandals sinking into the soft earth, the river's murmur growing louder. The journal's weight dragged at Lamine, its secrets pulling him deeper into a mystery he wasn't sure he wanted to solve. They reached the river, its dark waters glinting under the stars. Diallo's camp was a small cluster of tents tucked among the reeds, a faint glow of firelight flickering inside one. Awa slowed, her eyes scanning the shadows. "Something's off," she whispered. "It's too quiet." Lamine's chest tightened. He followed her gaze, noticing the tent's flaps hanging still, no voices or songs drifting from the camp. Gruits were never silent, their stories were their life. He opened his mouth to speak, but a shadow moved among the reeds, tall and cloaked, its amber eyes glinting like coals. Lamine's breath stopped. Another figure appeared on the riverbank, its curved knife catching the moonlight. They weren't alone. Awa cursed under her breath, pulling Lamine behind a thick reed bed. The figures moved slowly, their steps deliberate, like hunters sniffing out prey. Lamine's heart pounded so loud he was sure they'd hear it. The journal's glow pulsed in his satchel, brighter now, as if it knew danger was near. "They found us," he whispered, his voice shaking. How Awa's eyes narrowed. "They're not tracking us," she said. "They're tracking that." She pointed to his satchel, where the journal's light seeped through the cloth. "It's like it's calling them." Lamine's stomach churned. He opened the satchel. the journal's burned cover glowing faintly green, its spiral drawing pulsing like a heartbeat. The eye at its center seemed to stare at him, alive and accusing. He wanted to throw it into the river, let the water swallow its secrets. But Seku's words stopped him. You're in danger. He couldn't abandon the truth. Not yet. We need to get to Diallo, he said, his voice steadier than he felt. He's our only chance. Awa nodded, her hand on the dagger at her belt. Stay close, she said. They crept through the reeds, their movements slow to avoid rustling the stalks. The figures were closer now, their amber eyes sweeping the camp. One paused by a tent, its knife slicing through the cloth with a soft rip. Lamine's heart sank. If Diallo was inside, he didn't have much time. They reached the edge of the camp, the firelight casting shadows on the nearest tent. Awa peeked inside, then froze. Lamine, she whispered, her voice tight. Look. He leaned past her, his breath catching. The tent was empty, its floor littered with scattered papers and overturned pots. In the center, by the dying fire, lay a single sandal, its strap torn. Blood stained the sand around it, dark and fresh. Lamine's legs went weak. He whispered. Awa shook her head, her face pale. I don't know, she said, but we're not alone. A low hiss came from behind them, cold and sharp. Lamine spun, his heart in his throat. The amber-eyed figure stood at the tent's entrance, its knife raised, its eyes blazing. The journal, it said, its voice like wind over a grave. Give it, or die. Awa moved faster than Lamine thought possible, her dagger flashing as she slashed at the figure. The blade grazed its cloak, but the figure didn't flinch, its knife swinging toward her. Lamine grabbed a clay pot from the ground and threw it, the pot shattering against the figure's arm. It hissed, stumbling back, giving Awa a chance to pull Lamine toward the river. Run, she shouted, dragging him through the reeds. The second figure appeared ahead, blocking their path to the water. Lamine's mind raced, his eyes darting for an escape. He spotted a narrow path leading into a grove of acacia trees, their thorns glinting in the moonlight. Their resect pointing. They sprinted for the grove, the figure's footsteps crunching behind them. The journal's glow lit their way, its light pulsing faster, like it was alive. Lamine's lungs burned, his sandals slipping on the sandy earth. The trees closed around them, their branches scratching his arms, but the figures didn't slow, their amber eyes cutting through the dark like flames. Awa ducked under a low branch, pulling Lamine into a small clearing. We can't outrun them, she panted, her eyes wide. We need to hide the journal. Lamine shook his head, his hand tight on his satchel. No, he said, it's our only clue. We need to know what Mansa Musa hid. Awa's face hardened, but she nodded. Then we fight, she said, gripping her dagger. But we're not dying here. A rustle came from the trees, and Lamine's heart stopped. The figures were close, their hisses echoing like a chorus of snakes. He opened the journal, desperate for a clue, its pages crackling in his hands. The spiral drawing glowed brighter, and new words appeared, faint but clear. Seek the flame's shadow. The sworn guard, it still Lamine's breath caught. The flame's shadow, what did it mean? Before he could think, the first figure burst into the clearing, its knife slashing toward Awa. She dodged, her dagger clanging against its blade, sparks flying in the dark. Lamine backed away, his eyes locked on the journal. The second figure appeared behind him, its amber eyes glinting. He stumbled, the journal falling from his hands, its glow lighting the clearing like a sickly moon. The figure lunged, its knife inches from Lamine's chest. Awa shouted, tackling the figure, her dagger slashing its arm. It hissed, its cloak tearing, revealing pale, scarred skin beneath. Lamine scrambled for the journal, his fingers brushing its burned cover. The glow flared, and a vision hit him. A desert under a red sky, Mansa Musa, kneeling by a glowing flame, his face twisted with fear. A man stood beside him, his eyes greedy, whispering, "The light is ours." The vision faded, leaving Lamine gasping. Awa pulled him to his feet, her face bloodied from a shallow cut. "We can't stay," she shouted. The figures regrouped, their knives raised, but the journal's glow seemed to hold them back, their eyes flickering with something like fear. Lamine clutched the journal, its words, the sworn guard, it's still burning in his mind. A blood oath, maybe, like the stories Awa's grandmother told. They ran deeper into the grove, the figures' hisses fading but not stopping. The journal's glow pulsed, guiding them to a small stone marker half buried in the sand. Its surface, carved with a spiral. Lamine knelt, his heart racing. "This is it," he said. "The flames, shadow, it's here." Awa's eyes widened. "A marker," she said. "For what?" Lamine brushed sand away, revealing a trapdoor beneath, its edges etched with the same glowing spirals. The journal's light flared, and the door creaked open, revealing a dark staircase descending into the earth. A cold wind rose, carrying a metallic smell, like blood and iron. Lamine's skin prickled. "It's a way down," he said. "Maybe to what Mansa Musa hid." Awa glanced back, the figure's footsteps growing louder. "We don't have a choice," she said, her voice grim. "But if we go down there, we might not come back." Lamine nodded, his heart heavy. The journal's secrets were pulling him deeper, but the amber-eyed figures were close, and Diallo's fate was unknown. He stepped onto the staircase, the journal's glow lighting the way. Awa followed, her dagger ready, the trapdoor closing behind them with a dull thud. The hisses faded, but a new sound rose, a faint whisper, like the journal itself was speaking. "The flame waits, the shadow follows." Lamine's breath caught. The staircase spiraled down, its walls pulsing with faint green light. Mansa Musa's secret was close, but so was the curse, and the shadows with amber eyes were never far behind. Chapter 3. The coded words that burned. Lamine's heart raced as he descended the dark staircase, the burned journal's faint green glow lighting the way. The trapdoor had sealed shut behind him, and Awa, muffling the amber-eyed figure's hisses. But the air was heavy with their threat. The walls, carved with pulsing spirals, pressed close, and a metallic smell like blood and iron clung to the damp stones. Awa followed, her dagger glinting, her face tense in the eerie light. "This place feels wrong," she whispered, her voice echoing, "like it's watching us." Lamine nodded, clutching the journal. Its words, "Seek the flame's shadow." The sworn guard, it still burned in his mind, tied to Mansa Musa's secret. The vision of the king kneeling by a glowing flame, betrayed by a greedy man, haunted him. What had Mansa Musa hidden, and why were those figures so desperate to claim it? The journal's spiral drawing, with its staring eye, seemed to pulse in his hands, urging him deeper. The staircase ended at a small chamber, its black stone walls etched with more spirals and strange jagged lines. A single stone table stood in the center, its surface scarred as if burned. Lamine's breath caught. "It's like the library's back room," he said, his voice shaking. "Where I found the journal." Awa's eyes narrowed, scanning the shadows. "No fire here," she said. "But that smell." She trailed off, her dagger ready. The journal's glow flared, and Lamine opened it, its charred pages crackling. New words appeared, faint and smudged. "The flame's code hides the truth. Only the heart sees." Below was a grid of symbol stars' eyes, and spirals arranged like a puzzle. "A code," Lamine whispered, his heart leaping. "It's a map or a key." He traced the symbols, his fingers trembling. The grid seemed to shift, the eye symbol glowing brighter, like it was alive. Awa leaned closer, her brow furrowed. "My grandmother taught me about old codes. She said griots used them to hide secrets. This one, it's tied to Timbuktu's heart." Lamine's mind raced. Timbuktu's heart, the Sanka Mosque, the river. Before he could answer, a low rumble shook the chamber, dust falling from the ceiling. Awa grabbed his arm. "They're coming," she hissed, pointing to the staircase. Faint hisses echoed. An amber light glinted above, like eyes in the dark. Lamine's stomach twisted. He flipped through the journal, desperate for more clues. A single word stood out: Jingaber. The Jingaber Mosque, Timbuktu's oldest, built by Mansa Musa himself. "The code points there," he said, his voice urgent. "We need to go." Awa nodded, but the hisses grew louder, footsteps scraping the stairs. The journal's glow pulsed, and the table's surface flared, revealing a hidden slot shaped like the spiral drawing. Lamine pressed the journal against it, and the wall rumbled, sliding open to reveal a narrow tunnel. "Go!" Awa shouted, pushing him inside. They ran, the journal's light guiding them, the figure's hisses close behind. The tunnel twisted, its walls slick with strange sap. Lamine's heart pounded, the coded words, "Only the heart sees," echoing. In his thoughts, the Jingaber Mosque held the next clue, but the amber-eyed shadows were relentless, and the journal's truth was a flame that might burn them all. Chapter 4. the silent griots warningly means. Sandals slipped on the tunnel's slick stones, the journal's green glow lighting the narrow path. Awa ran beside him, her dagger gleaming, her breath sharp and fast. The amber-eyed figures' hisses echoed behind them, closer now, their knives scraping the walls like claws. The journal's cryptic words, the flame's code hides the truth. Only the heart sees pulsed in Lamine's mind, pointing to the Jingaber Mosque. But the metallic smell of the tunnel, sharp as blood, and the pulsing spirals on the walls made his skin crawl. This place wasn't just a passage, it was alive, guarding Mansa Musa's secret with a will of its own. The tunnel ended at a small chamber, its ceiling low, its walls carved with eye-like symbols that seemed to watch them. A wooden door, cracked and ancient, stood at the far end, its surface etched with a faint spiral. Lamine's heart leaped. "This must lead to the mosque," he whispered, pressing the journal against the door. The spiral glowed, and the door creaked open, revealing a sandy courtyard bathed in moonlight. The Jingaber Mosque's mud-brick towers loomed ahead, their shadows long and dark. Ayo grabbed his arm, her eyes scanning the courtyard. "We're not safe yet," she said, her voice low. "Those things, they're still coming." Lamine nodded, his throat tight. He clutched the journal, its glow dimming but still alive. They slipped into the courtyard, keeping low, the journal's words, Jingaber guiding them. A small tent stood near the mosque's wall, its cloth flapping softly. A faint voice hummed inside, low and rhythmic, like a griot's song. "Diallo," Awa whispered, hope flickering in her eyes. They ducked into the tent, finding an old man sitting by a dying fire, his white hair glowing in the light. His eyes were sharp, but his hands shook as he traced patterns in the sand. "You bring danger," he said, his voice rough, not looking up. "The journal. It's Mansa Musa's, isn't it?" Lamine's breath caught. "You're he asked, holding out the journal. "We need your help. It's a coda map. People are after us." Diallo's eyes flicked to the journal, then to the tent's entrance. "The sworn," he muttered. "They guard the flame's secret." Mansa Musa found a light in the desert of truth that broke him. He wrote it in that journal, then burned it to hide it. The sworn vowed to protect it, even in death. Face paled. "The amber-eyed ones," she said. "They're the sworn." Diallo nodded, his voice dropping. "Kita's kin. His betrayal cursed them, binding their blood to the flame. They'll kill to keep it hidden or claim it." He pointed to the journal. "That code, it leads to the flame's heart, under the mosque, but it's a trap for those who seek it." Loud hiss cut through the night, and the tent's flap tore open. An amber-eyed figure stood there, its knife glinting, its eyes blazing. "The journal," it snarled. Lamine stumbled back, the journal's glow flaring. Diallo stood, chanting softly, his voice like a shield. The figure hissed, but didn't advance, its eyes flickering with pain. "Run," Diallo whispered, his chant growing louder. "Find the flame's heart. Break the curse or it breaks you." Awa pulled Lamine toward a hidden door in the mosque's wall, the journal's light guiding them. The figure's hiss followed, joined by others, as the tent's fire flared. Wildly, Diallo's chant faded, and Lamine's heart sank. The flame's secret was close, but the sworn were closer, and the journal's truth might burn them all. Chapter 5. The desert's whispered name. Lamine's heart pounded, as he and Awa slipped through the hidden door in the Jingaber Mosque's wall, the journal's green glow barely lighting the narrow tunnel. Diallo's chant echoed faintly. Behind them, holding back the amber-eyed figure's hiss, but the air was thick with danger. The journal's words, "Seek the flame's heart. Break the curse or it breaks you," burned in Lamine's mind, tied to Mansa Musa's secret. The metallic smell of the tunnel, sharp and sour, clung to his skin, and the walls pulsed with faint spirals, like a heartbeat. Awa gripped her dagger, her eyes darting back. "They're still coming," she whispered, her voice tense. "We need to move fast." The tunnel sloped upward, opening to a sandy courtyard outside Timbuktu, the desert stretching endlessly under a moonlit sky. Lamine's breath caught, the journal's glow pulsing brighter. He opened it, its charred pages crackling, revealing new words. The flame's heart lies where the desert whispers Kita's name. Kita, the betrayer Diallo had spoken of, whose kin hunted them now. Lamine's stomach twisted. "Kita, name," he said. "It's a place, a desert ruin, maybe." Awa's eyes narrowed, scanning the dunes. "My grandmother spoke of a cursed ruin," she said. "A day's walk north, where no one goes. They call it Kita's Fall." Her voice dropped. Bad things happen there. Lamine nodded, his throat tight. The journal's spiral drawing glowed, its eyes staring, urging them forward. We don't have a choice, he said. The flame's heart hits there. They set off, keeping low, the sand soft under their sandals. The journal's light guided them, but every rustle of wind felt like the swan's hisses, their amber eyes haunting Lamine's thoughts. By dawn, the ruin appeared, a crumbling stone arch, half buried in dunes, its surface carved with spirals. The air was heavy, the silence unnatural. Lamine's skin prickled as he approached, the journal flaring. A faint whisper rose, not from the wind but the sand itself. Kita, Awa froze, her dagger raised. You hear that? She whispered. Before Lamine could answer, the ground shook, and a cloaked figure emerged from the dunes, its amber eyes blazing, knife glinting. The journal, it hissed, lunging. Awa slashed at it, her blade sparking against its knife. Lamine stumbled back, the journal's glow revealing a stone slab under the arch, etched with an eye symbol. He pressed the journal against it, and the slab sank, exposing a dark staircase. Go! Awa shouted, dodging the figure's blade. They scrambled down, the slab ceiling behind them, muffling the figure's hiss. The staircase spiraled deep, its walls glowing with green spirals. At the bottom, a chamber opened, its floor a mosaic of stars, a single stone pedestal holding a charred scroll. Lamine's heart raced. Another clue, he said, unrolling it. Words in Old Arabic read, "The flame's heart burns below. Only the sworn survive." A low hiss echoed from above, the slab trembling. Awa's face paled. "They're breaking through," she said. Lamine clutched the scroll, the journal's whisper growing. Kita, flame, beware. The ruin held Mansa Musa's secret, but Kita's kin were close, and the flame's heart might be a trap that would burn them alive. Chapter 6. The blood mark on the sand. Lamine's heart thundered in his chest as he and Awa stood in the underground chamber beneath Kita's fall. The journal's sickly green glow, casting eerie shadows on the star mosaic floor. The charred scroll they'd found on the stone pedestal trembled in his hands, its old Arabic words, "The flame's heart burns below. Only the sworn survive," searing his thoughts like a brand. Above, the stone slab sealing the staircase shuddered, dust raining down as the amber-eyed figure's hisses grew louder, their knives scraping like claws against the stone. Awa's face was pale, her dagger gripped tightly, her eyes locked on the ceiling. "They're breaking through," she said, her voice low but urgent. "We don't have much time." Lamine's throat was dry, the journal's whisper, "Kita, flame, beware," echoing in his ears like a warning from the grave. The chamber's walls, etched with glowing spirals and eye-like symbols, pulsed faintly, as if the ruin itself were alive, guarding Mansa Musa's secret with a will of its own. The metallic smell, sharp as blood and iron, clung to the air, making his stomach churn. He unrolled the scroll again, desperate for a clue to escape the sworn Kita's cursed kin, bound by a blood oath to protect or claim the flame's secret. The scroll's final line caught his eye. "The blood mark lights the path. Trust no shadow." "Blood mark," Lamine muttered, his voice shaking. He scanned the chamber, the journal's glow flickering across the mosaic. A faint red stain glimmered on the floor, near the pedestal a spiral, drawn in something dark and sticky. His heart sank. "Awa, look," he whispered, pointing. "Is that blood?" Awa knelt, her fingers hovering over the spiral. "It's fresh," she said, her voice grim. "Someone was here recently." She glanced at the trembling slab above, the hisses growing sharper. "We need to move. If this marks a clue, we follow it." Lamine nodded, his hands trembling, as he tucked the scroll into his satchel beside the journal. The journal's spiral drawing, with its staring eye, glowed brighter, as if responding to the blood mark. He stepped toward the mosaic, and the floor shifted, a low rumble filling the chamber. Awa grabbed his arm, steadying him as a section of the wall slid open, revealing a new tunnel, its walls slick with that strange, sour sap. The blood spiral on the floor glowed faintly, pointing toward the tunnel's dark mouth. "Another path," Lamine said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But what if it's a trap?" Diallo said, "The flame's heart is dangerous." Awa's eyes narrowed, her dagger ready. "Everything about this is dangerous," she said. "Those things up there, they'll kill us if we stay. The journal's leading us somewhere. We have to trust it for now." A loud crack echoed above, and the slab splintered, amber light spilling through the cracks. The hisses became a chorus, cold and hungry. The journal once snarled, its voice like wind over a grave. Lamine's heart leaped to his throat. He grabbed Awa's hand, and they sprinted into the tunnel, the journal's glow lighting their path. The slab shattered behind them, the figures' footsteps crunching on the mosaic, their knives glinting in the dark. The tunnel twisted downward, its walls narrowing, the sap dripping onto Lamine's arms, cold and sticky. The journal's light pulsed faster, and the blood mark's glow seemed to follow. Faint red spirals appearing on the walls at intervals, like a trail. Lamine's mind raced. The scroll's words "only the sworn survive," clashing with Diallo's warning about Kita's betrayal. Had someone else found this path, leaving blood to mark it? Or was the ruin itself bleeding, alive with Mansa Musa's curse? Awa slowed, her breath ragged. "This tunnel, it's too long," she said, her voice tense. "We're deep now, deeper than the mosque. What's down here?" Lamine opened the journal, its pages crackling. New words appeared, smudged but readable. "The blood binds the sworn. The flame tests the heart." Below was a sketch of flame surrounded by spirals, with a single word burned into the page. Lamine's heart skipped. "Sanka," he said. "The mosque again. Or something under it." Awa's eyes widened. "Sanka's heart," she said. "The journal's circling back to Timbuktu. Maybe the flame's hidden there, not here." Before Lamine could answer, a vision hit him, triggered by the journal's glow. He saw Mansa Musa in a dark chamber, his golden robes stained with sand, his face twisted with fear. He held a glowing flame, not fire but something alive, pulsing green like the journal's light. A man, Kita, his advisor, stood beside him, his eyes greedy. "Give it to me," Kita said, his voice sharp. "We can rule forever." Mansa Musa shook his head, tears falling. "It's a curse," he whispered, sealing the flame in a stone box. Blood dripped from his hand, marking the floor with a spiral. The vision faded, leaving Lamine gasping. "Lamine," Awa shouted, shaking him. "What's wrong?" He clutched the journal, his voice trembling. "I saw him, Mansa Musa. He hid the flame, a light that wasn't fire. Kita betrayed him for it. The blood mark hits his, from sealing it." Awa's face paled. "Then this path, it's leading to that flame," she said. "But why blood? And who's been here?" A low hiss echoed from the tunnel behind them, and Lamine's heart stopped. The amber-eyed figures were closer, their footsteps steady, their knives scraping the walls. Awa pulled him forward, the blood spirals glowing brighter, guiding them to a wide chamber. Its ceiling was a dome of cracked stone, etched with stars that pulsed green, like the journal's light. In the center stood a stone altar, its surface stained with dark, dried blood. A small, black metal box rested on it, its surface carved with spirals, glowing faintly. Lamine's breath caught. "It's like the box Sekou showed me," he said, his voice shaking. "The one that held the journal." He stepped closer, the journal flaring in his hands. The box's glow pulsed in sync, and a whisper rose, not from the journal but the box itself. "The blood opens, the flame burns." Awa grabbed his arm, her eyes wide. "Don't touch it," she said. "It's a trap, like Diallo said." Lamine hesitated, the scroll's words, "only the sworn survive," clashing with the journal's vision. The box was tied to the flame, to Mansa Musa's secret, but the bloodstains on the altar felt like a warning. Before he could decide, the hisses grew louder, and 3 amber-eyed figures entered the chamber, their knives raised, their eyes blazing. The flame, one snarled, its voice a chorus of hate. "It's ours." Awa stepped in front of Lamine, her dagger ready. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice fierce despite the fear in her eyes. Lamine's mind raced, his eyes darting to the altar. The blood spirals on the walls flared, and the box's glow intensified, as if calling to him. He opened the journal, its pages, revealing a new line: "The blood mark binds. Spill to open, or die to keep." Lamine's heart sank. Spill blood his own. He looked at Awa, fighting to keep the figures at bay, her dagger clanging against their knives. The vision of Mansa Musa's bleeding hand flashed in his mind. Had the king spilled his blood to seal the flame, binding it with a curse? Lamine's hand shook as he reached for the box, the journal's whisper growing louder: "Sanka, flame, now." One of the figures broke past Awa, its knife slashing toward Lamine. He dodged, the blade grazing his arm, blood dripping. Onto the altar, the box flared, its light blinding, and the altar rumbled, sinking to reveal a new staircase, deeper still. Awa shouted, pulling Lamine toward it as the figures hissed, their eyes dimming in the light. They stumbled down the stairs, the box's glow fading, the hisses following like ghosts. The staircase spiraled into darkness, the blood spirals on the walls glowing faintly. Lamine's arm throbbed, his blood mixing with the altar's stains. In his mind, the journal's words, the bloodbinds, the sworn, felt like a chain round his heart. The flame's heart was below, tied to Sanka, but the blood mark was a curse, and Kita's kin would never stop. The deserts whispered, name Kita had led them here, but the truth might burn them before they reached it. Chapter 7. The door beneath the Empire. Lamine's sandals skidded on the slick stone steps, the journal's green glow flickering in the suffocating darkness of the spiraling staircase. His arm throbbed where the amber-eyed figure's knife had grazed him, blood dripping onto the journal in his satchel, mixing with the eerie light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Awa ran beside him, her dagger clutched tightly, her breath sharp and uneven. The hisses of Kita's kin, the sworn, bound by a blood oath to guard Mansa Musa's secret, echoed from the chamber above, their footsteps crunching on the shattered stone slab. The air was thick with the metallic temps of blood and iron, and the walls, carved with glowing spirals, seemed to close in, as if the earth itself wanted to swallow them. The journal's whisper, Sanka, flame, now, gnawed at Lamine's mind, urging him deeper into the ruins. Cursed. The staircase twisted endlessly, its steps uneven, worn by time or something older. Lamine's heart pounded, the scroll's words from the last chamber, the bloodbinds, the sworn, spilled to open, or die to keep, clashing with the vision of Mansa Musa, sealing a glowing flame with his own blood. Had the king's sacrifice created this curse, binding Kita's betrayal to the flame's secret? Lamine glanced at Awa, her face pale but fierce, her eyes scanning the shadows. How deep does this go? She whispered, her voice barely cutting through the oppressive silence. I don't know, Lamine admitted, his throat dry. But the journal, it's pointing to Sanka. The flame's heart is there, under Timbuktu. He clutched the journal, tighter, its charred pages crinkling, the spiral drawing with its staring eye glowing brighter, as if alive. The blood mark on his arm, now crusted, seemed to pulse in sync, tying him to the curse in ways he didn't understand. The staircase ended abruptly at a massive stone door, its surface etched with a giant spiral, its center an eye symbol that glowed green, matching the journal's light. The metallic smell was stronger here, sharp enough to sting Lamine's eyes. Awa ran her fingers along the door, her dagger still in her other hand. This isn't just a door, she said, her voice low. It's sealed, like the vault in the stories my grandmother told where Mansa Musa hid something no one should find. Lamine's heart raced. He opened the journal, its pages revealing new words. The door beneath the Empire opens with blood. The flames, heart waits, but the sworn never sleep. His stomach churned. More blood. He looked at his arm, the wound still oozing, and then at Awa, who shook her head. Don't, she said, her voice firm. We don't know what it wants. Your blood already opened the last one. A low hiss echoed from the staircase above, and Lamine's breath caught. The amber-eyed figures were close, their knives scraping the walls, their voices a chilling chorus. The flame is ours. Awa spun, her dagger raised, her eyes wide. We're out of time, she said. Open it, Lamine, now. Lamine pressed his bloody hand against the door's eye symbol, the journal flaring in his satchel. The spiral glowed, and a deep rumble shook the ground, dust falling from the ceiling. The door slid open, revealing a vast chamber, its walls black and shimmering like liquid night. The floor was a mosaic of stars, glowing green, and in the center stood a stone altar, its surface carved with spirals and stained with dark, ancient blood. Above it hung a single flame-not fire, but a pulsing green light, floating without fuel, alive and unnatural. Lamine's skin prickled, the journal's whisper growing louder. The flame burns, the truth breaks. Awa stepped inside, her dagger trembling in her hand. This is it, she whispered, her voice awed. The flame's heart, Mansa Musa's secret. Lamine followed, his legs weak, the journal's glow sinking with the flame's pulse. The chamber felt wrong, its air heavy, as if the walls were breathing. The bloodstains on the altar were old, cracked, but fresh drops glistened near the edge, as if someone had been here recently. His mind flashed to the blood spiral in the last chamber. Whose blood was it, Diallo Sekou's or someone else? Drawn to the flame's curse, a vision hit him, triggered by the journal's light. He saw Mansa Musa standing in this chamber, his golden robes torn, his face etched with fear. He held the flame in his hands, its green light searing his skin. Kita, his advisor, stood beside him, his eyes greedy, a knife in his hand. "Give it to me," Kita said, his voice sharp. "The light can make us gods." Mansa Musa shook, his head, blood dripping from his hand onto the altar. "It's a curse," he whispered, sealing the flame with a spiral carved in stone. Kita lunged, his knife flashing, but Mansa Musa chanted, his voice like thunder, and the chamber shook, trapping Kita in shadows. The vision faded, leaving Lamine gasping, his hand on the altar for support. "Lamine," Awa shouted, pulling him back. "What did you see?" He clutched the journal, his voice trembling. "Mansa Musa sealed the flame here, with his blood." Kita tried to take it, but the king cursed him, bound his kin to guard it forever. "This flame, it's not just light, it's truth." Something that broke Mansa Musa. Awa's eyes widened, but before she could speak, a loud crack echoed from the tunnel. 3 amberite figures emerged, their cloaks tattered, their knives glinting. "The flame," one hissed, its voice a chorus of hate. "It belongs to us." Their eyes blazed, brighter than before, as if the flame's presence fed their hunger. Awa stepped in front of Lamine, her dagger raised. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice fierce. Lamine's heart pounded, his eyes darting to the altar. The journal flared, revealing a new line. "The flame's truth burns the soul. Spill blood to claim, or break to end." His stomach twisted. Claim the flame with blood, or destroy it. He looked at the flame, its green light pulsing, whispering his name. The figures lunged, their knives slashing through the air. Awa, one, her blade sparking, but another grabbed her arm, twisting it. She cried out, her dagger clattering to the floor. Lamine shouted, grabbing a loose stone from the mosaic and throwing it, hitting the figure's head. It hissed, stumbling back, but the third figure charged at him, its knife aimed at his chest. Lamine dodged, falling to his knees beside the altar, the journal slipping from his satchel. The flame flared, its light blinding, and the figures froze, their eyes flickering with pain. Awa scrambled to her feet, grabbing her dagger, her face bloodied from a shallow cut. "Lamine, do something," she shouted, her voice raw. He crawled to the journal, its pages open to the spiral drawing, the eyes staring. The flame's whisper grew louder. "Claim or break. Choose." Lamine's hand shook as he reached for the altar, his blood dripping. Onto the stone, the flame pulsed, and the altar rumbled, a hidden compartment opening to reveal a small, black stone tablet, its surface etched with spirals and stars, glowing green. Lamine's breath caught it. Was like the journal's drawing, but solid, heavy, alive. The figures hissed, their eyes blazing again, breaking free of the flame's hold. The tablet, one snarled, lunging. Awa tackled it, her dagger slashing its cloak, revealing pale, scarred skin beneath. Lamine grabbed the tablet, its glow searing his hand, and another vision hit him. Mansa Musa, carving the tablet, his blood mixing with the stone, chanting words that shook the earth. "The truth must stay hidden," the king whispered, sealing the tablet in the altar. Kita's screams echoed, trapped in shadows, his bloodline cursed to guard the flame forever. The vision faded, and Lamine staggered, the tablet heavy in his hands. Awa fought beside him, her dagger clanging against the figure's knives, but she was tiring, her movements slowing Lamine. She shouted, dodging a blade, "We can't hold them." He looked at the flame, its light pulling at his soul, whispering truths he couldn't grasp, secrets of the stars, of worlds beyond Molly. The journal's words, break to end, burned in his mind. Destroy the flame, end the curse, but lose the truth. Mansa Musa died to hide, or claim it, spilling more blood, risking everything. A figure broke past, Awa, its knife slashing Lamine's shoulder. He cried out, blood splattering the altar, the flame flaring brighter. The tablet glowed, and the chamber shook, cracks spreading. Across the walls, Awa pulled him back, her face desperate. "We need to go," she shouted, pointing to a new tunnel opening behind the altar, its walls glowing with blood spirals. Lamine clutched the tablet and journal, his blood mixing with the altar's stains. The figures hissed, their eyes dimming in the flame's light, but they didn't stop, their knives raised. He stumbled toward the tunnel, Awa dragging him, the flames whisper following, "Choose, choose." The chamber trembled, stones falling, and the figures lunged, their hisses drowning in the rumble. They dove into the tunnel, the altar collapsing behind them, sealing the chamber. The flame's light faded, but the tablet in Lamine's hands glowed, its spirals pulsing. The journal whispered, faint but clear, "The door beneath the empire opens. The flame's truth waits at Sanka." Lamine's heart pounded, his blood soaking his tunic. The sworn were trapped for now, but the flame's curse was alive, and the tablet's truth might destroy them before they reached Timbuktu's heart. Chapter 8. The voice in the charred page. Gavana's breath burned in his chest as he stumbled through the dark tunnel. The journal's green glow barely cutting through the suffocating blackness. The stone tablet, heavy in his satchel, pulsed with a sickly light, its carved spirals searing his thoughts with the weight of Mansa Musa's curse. Awa ran beside him, her dagger glinting in the faint glow, her face streaked with sweat and blood from their desperate escape. The chamber behind them had collapsed, sealing the amber-eyed figures Kita's sworn kin beneath rubble, but their hisses still echoed in Lamine's ears, a chilling promise they weren't gone for long. The air was thick with a metallic tang of blood and iron, and the tunnel's walls, slick with strange sap, pulsed with faint red spirals, like veins in a living thing. The journal's whisper, "The flame's truth waits at Sanka," drove him forward, but fear gnawed at his heart. What truth could break a king like Mansa Musa, and why was it worth so much blood? The tunnel twisted sharply, its floor uneven, forcing Lamine to steady himself against the wall. His wounded shoulder throbbed, blood soaking his tunic, each step sending a jolt of pain through him. The tablet's glow synced with the journal's, and the vision of Mansa Musa sealing the flame with his blood replayed in his mind. Kita's greedy eyes, the king's tears, the curse that bound them all. "How much farther?" Lamine gasped, his voice hoarse. "This tunnel, it's like it's pulling us in." Awa's eyes darted to the shadows, her dagger raised. "I don't know," she said, her voice tight. "But those things they'll dig through. We can't stop." Her cut cheek glistened, but her grip on the dagger was steady, her market-honed instincts keeping her alert. She paused, sniffing. The air, the smells changing. Less blood, more dust. We're close to something. Lamine nodded, his heart racing. The journal's words, "The door beneath the empire opens," pointed to Sanka, Timbuktu's heart, but the tablet, with its glowing spirals and stars, felt like a Kaior, a trap. He opened the journal, its charred pages crackling, hoping for a clue. The spiral drawing glowed, its eyes staring, and new words appeared, faint and smudged. The voice in the charred pages speaks, "Trust no light but the heart's." Below was a sketch of a door, its frame carved with stars, a single spiral at its center. Lamine's stomach twisted. A voice, he whispered, "What does that mean?" Before Awa could answer, a low hum filled the tunnel, soft at first, then growing into a voice not human, but sharp, like wind through broken glass. "Lamine," it whispered, his name curling through the air. He froze, his skin prickling. The journal flared, its glow blinding, and the tablet in his satchel pulsed, hot against his hip. Awa grabbed his arm, her eyes wide. "You hear that?" she hissed, her voice trembling. "It's the journal," Lamine said, his voice shaking. "Or the tablet. It's talking." He pulled the journal out, its pages flipping on their own, stopping at a blank page that filled with glowing words. "The flame's truth is not for mortals. Kita's kin seek it still. Spill blood to silence the voice, or listen and burn." The voice grew louder, chanting, "Sanka, flame, choose." Awa's face paled. "This isn't right," she said, stepping back. "My grandmother warned me about spirits in old relics. If that thing's talking, it's dangerous." Lamine's heart pounded, the voice's chant pulling at his thoughts, urging him to listen. He clutched the tablet, its heat searing his hand, and another vision hit him. He saw Mansa Musa in a desert, the flame pulsing in his hands, its green light showing him truth stars falling, cities burning, eyes watching from the sky. The king wept, his blood dripping onto a journal, its pages catching fire. Kita stood behind him, his knife raised, whispering, "The truth is ours." Mansa Musa chanted, sealing the flame, and Kita's scream echoed as shadows swallowed him, his bloodline cursed. The vision faded, leaving Lamine on his knees, gasping. The journal opened before him. Lamine and Awa shouted, shaking him. "What's happening?" He clutched the journal, his voice weak. "I saw it, the flame's truth. It showed Mansa Musa everything. The end of worlds. He burned the journal to hide it. But Kita wanted it. That's why they're after us." Awa's eyes narrowed, but before she could speak, a loud scrape echoed from behind. The amber-eyed figures had broken through the rubble, their hiss filling the tunnel, their knives glinting in the dark. The flame one snarled, its voice a chorus of hunger. Lamine's heart stopped. He scrambled to his feet, the journal and tablet glowing brighter, the voice chanting louder. "Choose, choose." Awa pulled him forward, her dagger ready. "Run," she shouted, leading him through the tunnel's twists. The walls pulsed, the red spirals glowing, guiding them to a small chamber. Its ceiling was low, its walls carved with stars, and a stone door stood at the far end, its frame matching the journal's sketch stars, and a central spiral. Fresh blood stained the floor, a spiral drawn in crimson, still wet. Lamine's stomach churned. "Someone's been here," he whispered, his voice trembling. The voice spoke again, sharp and clear. "Spilled blood to open. Listen to live." The journal flared, its pages flipping to a new line. "The door to Sanka's heart demands sacrifice. Trust no shadow but your own." Awa's hand tightened on her dagger. "Sacrifice," she said, her voice grim. "More blood. This is a trap, Lamine." Lamine's mind raced, the vision of Mansa Musa's blood-soaked hands haunting him. He pressed his wounded hand against the door's spiral, the journal glowing in his satchel. The door rumbled, but didn't open, the voice chanting, "More, more." His heart sank. More blood. His own wasn't enough. He looked at Awa, face fierce but pale, and shook his head. "I won't let you," he said, his voice firm. The hisses grew louder, and 3 figures entered the chamber, their amber eyes blazing, their knives raised. Awa stepped in front of Lamine, her dagger flashing. "Stay back," she shouted, slashing at the nearest figure. Its knife clanged against hers, sparks flying, but another lunged at Lamine, its blade grazing his side. He cried out, blood dripping onto the spiral on the floor, and the door flared, its spiral glowing brighter. The voice roared, "Open!" The door slid open, revealing a vast chamber, its walls shimmering with green light, its floor a mosaic of spirals and stars. A stone altar stood in the center, holding a single flame green, pulsing, alive. Lamine's breath caught, the journal's whisper sinking with the flame. Sanka's heart. The truth burns. Awa pulled him through. The door, the figures hissing behind them. The door slammed shut, muffling their knives, but the voice didn't stop, chanting, "Listen, burn." Lamine clutched the tablet, its glow searing his hand, and the journal opened, its pages filling with words. "The flame speaks, the truth of the stars. Claim it, or break it. Kita's kin are near." Awa's face was grim, her dagger bloodied. "We're trapped," she said, her voice low. "That flam, it's what they want. What do we do?" Lamine's heart pounded, the flame's light pulling at him, whispering secrets he couldn't grasp. The vision of Mansa Musa's broken soul warned him to break it, but the journal's voice urged him to listen, to claim the truth. Blood dripped from his side, staining the mosaic, and the flame flared, its chant growing louder. The door trembled, the figures' knives scraping, their hisses seeping through. Kita's kin were coming, and the voice in the charred pages was a flame that might consume them all. Chapter 9. The light that broke a King. Lamine's heart thundered as he and Awa stood in the vast chamber beneath Sanka's heart, the journal's green glow casting eerie shadows across the star mosaic floor. The stone altar before them held the pulsing flame, not fire, but a living green light, whispering truths that clawed at his mind. The black stone tablet in his satchel, its spiral searing his hip, pulsed in sync with the journal, heavy with Mansa Musa's curse. Awa's dagger trembled in her bloodied hand, her cheek cut, her eyes locked on the sealed door behind them, where the amber-eyed figures Kita's sworn kin scraped their knives, their hisses seeping through the stone like poison. The air was thick with the metallic temps of blood and iron, and the chamber's walls, shimmering with green spirals, seemed to breathe, alive with the flame's will. The journal's voice, sharp as broken glass, chanted, "Listen, burn, choose." Lamine's shoulder and side throbbed, blood soaking his tunic from the figure's attacks, each drop seeming to feed the flame's hunger. The journal's words, "The flame's truth burns the soul. Claim it, or break it," clashed with the vision of Mansa Musa weeping, sealing the flame with his blood to hide a truth that shattered him. "What is this place?" Lamine whispered, his voice shaking, barely audible over the flame's chant. "This flame, it's not just light, it's something else." Awa's face was grim, her dagger raised toward the door, which shuddered under the figure's blows. "It's a trap," she said, her voice low but fierce. Diallo warned, "US, the flame's heart is death for those who seek it. We need to break it, Lamine. Now." Lamine clutched the journal, its charred pages crackling, the spiral drawing's eye staring at him. The tablet's glow burned through his satchel, urging him to listen, to claim the flame's truth. He stepped closer to the altar, the flame's light pulling at his soul, whispering secret stars falling, worlds ending, eyes watching from the sky. His knees buckled, and he gripped the altar, its blood-stained surface cold under his fingers. "I saw it," he gasped, his voice trembling. Mansa Musa saw this. It broke him, but he hid it to save Molly. Awa's eyes widened, but a loud crack cut through the chamber, the door splintering, amber light spilling through. "They're here," she shouted, spinning to face the entrance. Lamine's heart stopped as 4 amber-eyed figures burst in, their cloaks tattered, their knives glinting, their eyes blazing with hunger. The flame one hissed, its voice a chorus of hate. "Give it to us." Awa lunged, her dagger slashing at the nearest figure, sparking against its blade. "Lamine, do something," she yelled, dodging a knife that grazed her arm. Blood dripping onto the mosaic. Lamine's mind raced, the journal flaring in his hands, its voice roaring, "Claim or break." He opened it, pages flipping to a new line. "The flame's truth is the light of the stars. Spill blood to claim, or shatter to end. Kita's kin will never stop." The figures pressed closer, their knives flashing. One grabbed Awa's wrist, twisting it, her dagger clattering to the floor. She kicked its knee, breaking free, but another slashed at Lamine, its blade missing his chest by inches. He stumbled back, blood from his side splattering the altar, the flame flaring brighter, its chant deafening. "Choose." Lamine's hand shook as he pulled the tablet from his satchel, its spirals glowing, hot against his skin. A vision hit him, stronger than before Mansa Musa in this chamber, the flame burning his hands, showing him a sky cracked with red, cities in flames, voices whispering from beyond the stars. "You see the truth, King," a voice not human, sharp as glass said. "It is not yours to keep." Mansa Musa wept, carving the tablet with his blood, sealing the flame. Kita lunged, his knife flashing, but the king's chant trapped him in shadows, cursing his bloodline to guard the flame forever. The vision faded, leaving Lamine gasping, the tablet heavy in his hands. Lamine and Awa shouted, grappling with the figure, her face bloodied. "Break it, we can't fight them all." He looked at the flame, its light pulling at him, offering truths he couldn't grasp, knowledge of worlds beyond power to change Molly's fate. But Mansa Musa's broken soul warned him. The truth was a curse. He raised the tablet, its glow blinding, and slammed it against the altar, aiming for the flame. The figures hissed, their eyes dimming, but one broke past Awa, its knife slashing. Lamine's arm, he cried out, blood soaking the altar, the flame roaring, its light flooding the chamber. The tablet cracked, its spirals pulsing, and the flame wavered, its chant faltering. Lamine struck again, the tablet shattering, shards falling to the mosaic. The flame flickered, then surged, a green wave washing over the chamber. The figures screamed, their cloaks burning, their amber eyes fading to black. Awa staggered back, shielding her eyes, her dagger raised. "What's happening?" she shouted, her voice raw. Lamine fell to his knees. The journal opened before him, its pages filling with words. The light breaks, the curse wakes. The flame collapsed, its light dimming, but the chamber shook, cracks spreading across the walls, stones falling. The voice returned, faint but clear. "The truth lives. Sanka's heart holds it still." Awa pulled Lamine to his feet, her face pale. "We need to go," she shouted, pointing to a new tunnel opening behind the altar, its walls glowing. With faint spirals, the figures' screams faded, their bodies crumbling to dust. But the chamber's rumble grew, the mosaic cracking beneath their feet. Lamine grabbed the journal, its glow dimming, and the tablet's shards, their light gone but heavy with meaning. Blood dripped from his arm, mixing with the altar's stains, and the voice whispered, "The sworn are not gone. The light waits." They ran into the tunnel, the chamber collapsing behind them, dust choking the air. The journal's whisper followed, faint but relentless. "Sanka, truth, beware." Lamine's heart pounded, the tablet's shards clinking in his satchel. The flame was broken, but the curse wasn't, and Kita's kin or something worse still hunted them. Sanka's heart held the final truth, but the light that broke Mansa Musa might break them too. Chapter 10. The final oath in the ashes. Lamine's legs trembled as he and Awa stumbled through the tunnel, the journal's fading green glow barely lighting the slick, spiraling walls. The stone tablets' shards clinked in his satchel, their weight a reminder of the shattered flame and the curse that still clung to them. Blood dripped from his wounded shoulder and side, soaking his tunic, each step a stab of pain. Awa gripped her dagger, her face bloodied from their desperate fight, her eyes scanning the shadows for Kita's sworn kin. The chamber behind them had collapsed, burying the flame's heart, but the journal's whisper, "The truth lives. Sanka's heart holds it still," echoed in Lamine's mind, pulling him toward Timbuktu's core. The air was heavy with dust and the metallic temps of blood, and the tunnel's red spirals pulsed faintly. Like a dying heartbeat, the voice from the charred pages, sharp as broken glass, had gone silent, but its final chant, "The sworn are not gone." The light weights haunted Lamine. The vision of Mansa Musa, broken by the flame's cosmic truths, warned him the secret he'd burned his journal to hide was alive, and Kita's amber-eyed kin would never stop. Awa's breath was ragged, her cut cheek glistening. "We're close to Sanka," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "The tunnel's sloping up, but those things, they're still out there." Lamine nodded, his throat tight. The journal's words, "The flame's truth is the light of the stars," clashed with the tablet's shattered remains. Had breaking the flame freed them, or woken something worse? His hand brushed the journal, its cover charred but warm, as if it knew the end was near. "We need to find Sanka's heart," he said, his voice trembling. "The truth, our only way out." The tunnel widened, its walls etched with stars that glowed faintly green. A stone door loomed ahead, its surface carved with a spiral and an eye, matching the journal's drawing. Fresh blood stained the floor, a crimson spiral still wet, like the ones in Kita's fall. Lamine's stomach churned. "Someone's been here," he whispered, his heart racing. "Recently." Awa's eyes narrowed, her dagger ready. "Or something," she said, her voice grim. "The sworn, they're tied to blood, like the journal said." She glanced at Lamine's wounds, her face hardening. "No more blood, Lamine. We can't afford it." He pressed his hand against the door's spiral, the journal flaring in his satchel. The eye glowed, and a deep rumble shook the ground, dust falling from the ceiling. The door slid open, revealing a vast chamber beneath Sanka Mosque, its walls shimmering with green light, its floor a mosaic of stars and spirals. A stone altar stood in the center, its surface clean but carved with an eye symbol, pulsing faintly. Above it, a faint green mist swirled, not a flame but its echo whispering, "The truth lives." Lamine's breath caught. "This is it," he said, stepping inside Sanka's heart, the journal's end. The tablet's shards grew warm, and the journal opened on its own, pages flipping to a new line. "The final oath binds the truth. Speak it, or burn with it." Awa grabbed his arm, her eyes wide. "Wait," she hissed. "Listen." A faint hiss echoed from the tunnel, growing louder, joined by the scrape of knives on stone. Lamine's heart stopped. The sworn had followed, their amber eyes glinting in the dark, their cloaks tattered but whole. 5 figures emerged, their knives raised, their voices a chorus of hate. "The truth is ours." Awa stepped in front of Lamine, her dagger flashing. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice fierce despite the blood on her face. Lamine's mind raced, the journal's voice returning, chanting, "Speak, bind, choose." He opened the journal, its pages glowing, revealing a final line. "The oath of the heart silences the light. Swear to hide it, or claim it, and fall." A vision hit him, stronger than before. Mansa Musa stood in this chamber, his hands bloodied, the green mist swirling above the altar. He chanted, his voice trembling, "I swear by Molly's heart to hide the truth, to let it burn in ashes." The mist dimmed, and Kita, his advisor, screamed, his knife falling, his eyes turning amber as shadows swallowed him. The king wept, carving the journal's final page, burning it to seal the oath. The vision faded, leaving Lamine gasping. The journal opened before him. Lamine and Awa shouted, slashing at a figure, her dagger sparking. The sworn pressed closer, their knives slashing, one grazing her arm. She stumbled, blood dripping onto the mosaic, and Lamine's heart sank. He stepped toward the altar, the journal and tablet shards glowing, the mist pulsing. "I have to end it," he said, his voice shaking. The oath Mansa Musa swore to hide the truth. "I need to do the same." Awa's eyes widened, but she nodded, dodging a knife. "Do it," she shouted, tackling a figure, her dagger slashing its cloak, revealing scarred, pale skin. Lamine reached the altar, his blood dripping onto the eye symbol, the mist flaring. The journal's voice roared, "Swear." He clutched the tablet's shards, their edges cutting his palm, and spoke, his voice raw. "I swear by Timbuktu's heart, to hide the truth, to let it burn in ashes." The mist surged, a green wave flooding the chamber, the altar trembling. The figures screamed, their amber eyes fading, their bodies crumbling to dust. Awa staggered back, shielding her eyes, her dagger bloodied. The journal flared its pages, burning without flame, turning to ash in Lamine's hands. The tablet's shards crumbled, their glow gone, leaving only sand. The mist vanished, the chamber silent, the spirals on the walls dimming to cold stone. Lamine fell to his knees, his wounds throbbing, the journal's ashes slipping through his fingers. "It's over," he whispered, tears stinging his eyes. "The truth, it's gone." Awa knelt beside him, her face pale, her arm bleeding. "You did it," she said, her voice soft. "The curse, it's broken. They're gone." She glanced at the altar, its eye symbol dark. But what was it? The truth. What did Mansa Musa see? Lamine shook his head. The vision's fragments, falling stars, burning cities, eyes in the sky fading like a dream. "Something too big," he said, his voice weak. "Something that broke him. He hid it to save Molly. Now it's buried again." A faint rumble shook the chamber, dust falling from the ceiling. Awa grabbed his arm, pulling him to his feet. "We need to go," she said, her voice urgent. "This place, it's not safe." They stumbled toward a new tunnel behind the altar, its walls plain, no spirals, no glow. The air was cooler, the smell of dust replacing blood. The tunnel sloped upward, opening to a sandy courtyard outside Sanka, Timbuktu's mud-brick towers. Glowing in the dawn, Lamine's legs gave out, and he sank to the sand, a wall beside him. The city was quiet, its streets empty. The curse's weight lifted, but leaving a shadow in his heart. He looked at the ashes in his hand, all that remained of the journal. "Sekou," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Diallo, did they die?" For this, Awa's hand rested on his shoulder, her eyes soft. "They died for Timbuktu," she said, "like you fought for it. The truth's gone. Lamine, you saved us." He nodded, tears falling, the vision of Mansa Musa's weeping face lingering. The king had sworn an oath to hide the truth, and Lamine had done the same, burning it in ashes. But the journal's final whisper, "The truth lives," clung to him, a shadow he'd carry forever. Timbuktu's dawn was bright, but the light that broke a king was buried in his heart, and he prayed it would stay there.